In this video, you will learn about unit testing in Python using PyTest. Unit testing is a software testing technique where individual components of a program are tested in isolation to ensure that each part of the function works correctly. And a test case is something which focuses on single unit of a code, and this could be a function or a method. And the goal is to verify that this unit, that is the function or method, behaves as expected under various conditions. I'll take two very basic examples and show you how unit test works. Let me open PyCharm. In Windows, I will type here PyCharm, and then I will create a new project, and I will name this project as my unit test. I'll click on this create. I've created this my unit test project, and I will create a file here, a Python file, and I will name this file as math_operations. Now inside this I will create two functions, one is add and one subtract. I will write here define add, and this will take two parameters a and b. This will return me the addition of a and b, a plus b. The second function is subtract, define subtract. This will take two parameters a and b, and this will return subtraction of a minus b. Now let's call these two functions print add, and I will take 10 and 2, then print subtract, and then I will take here 15 and 5. Now let me execute this code, and here in the output you can see 10 plus 2 is 12 and 15 minus 5 is 10. So our function is behaving correctly. Now we want to write test cases for these two functions to make sure when we deploy this function in production environment we don't see any error. For that we will create a new Python file, and whenever you are writing test cases for your functions you have to name that file starting with test. I'll right click here and then I will click on this Python file and I will write it as test. So make sure you are first giving the name as test, and after that you can write anything. So I will write test underscore math underscore operations. Now we will write our test case. First I will import unit test, import unit test, and then from math operations. So this is our Python file. From this file we will import these two functions add and subtract. So from math operations import add and then subtract. Now we will write test case for this add function. So when you are writing test cases you have to start with test. I will write as test, define test underscore, then the function name which is add, and then this function takes two parameters. So I will write here a keyword assert. Now assert is a keyword in Python that is commonly used in unit tests to check if a given condition is true or not. If the condition is true, the program continues to execute normally. If the condition is false, assert will raise an assertion error and the program will stop running. So I will call, or I will write this keyword assert and now I will write the condition. So to write the condition, I will call the function add because we are testing this function. Now this function takes two parameters. So let's give two values. I will write here 2 and 3. Now 2 plus 3 is going to be 5. So I will write is equal to 5. That means if a user is passing 2 and 3, the result should be 5. So you can write few more assert statement to check whether this test function is behaving correctly or not. I will write here assert add, and let's say now I will write 5 and 5. So 5 plus 5 is 10. It should give me output as 10. And then one more assert add 10 and 4. So 10 plus 4 is 14. Now we have written test condition for this add function. Now let's test this. So I will run this test math operations py. Now to run test cases, you have to call PyTest. So I will go to this terminal and then I will type keyword PyTest, and then I will call this test math operations, and I will remove this one and press enter. So whenever you want to run your test cases, you have to use this PyTest, and then you have to call this Python file. Let's press enter now. So here in the output you see you got this result 1 passed in 0.003 seconds. So your test case has passed because 2 plus 3 is 5, 5 plus 5 is 10, 10 plus 4 is 14. Now in what condition this test case can fail? So let's say if instead of 5, if I write here 6. Now you know that 2 plus 3 is 5. The output cannot be 6. This time the test function will fail. So let me run this again, PyTest, and this Python file here, press enter. You see that we got one fail. Why? It says assert 5 is equal to 6. It says that the value should have been 5, but it got 6, which is incorrect. That is why test case has failed. So we have to make sure that 2 plus 3 should be 5. So I will write here 5. And in this case also, if I make it, let's say 15, again it will fail, and here you will get 10 is equal to 15. Let's run it. So I will again run this. So you see that assert 10 is equal to 15 because the output should have been 10, but here it is getting 15. That is why this test case has failed. And if I make it 10 again, now all the outputs are correct. 2 plus 3 is 5, 5 plus 5 is 10, 10 plus 4 is 14. Now this test case should pass. I will again run this. So you see that one passed. Now similarly, let's write a test case for our second function, which is subtract. So I will write here define, and then you have to start with test underscore subtract, and then assert, and then we will call this subtract, and first I will pass 10 and 10. So 10 minus 10 is nothing but 0. Then let's pass one more condition, assert subtract 20 minus 10. So this should be 10, and now let's run. So now when I will run this PyTest, I should get 2 passed because now we are having these 2 conditions that we want to check. I will just call this, and you see 2 passed in this 0.03 seconds, and here also you see collected 2 items. Now let's make these result incorrect. I will write here 5, and let's test it. This time this test case will be passed and this will be failed. So let me run this again. Now you see 1 failed and 1 passed, and for failed we are getting here assert 0 is equal to 5 because The result should have been 0, but what we are getting is 5. This is incorrect, so it has failed. I will make this as 0. And here if I make this 100, again this test case will fail, and it will say assert 10 is equal to 100. Let me do that. Now you see, one failed, one passed. Assert 10 is equal to 100. So I have to make this 10, and if I run this again, both test cases will be passed. So here you see 2 passed. And what we can do now, in case if you have these two functions and you want to pass a missing values, so you will write here as maybe none, and for this also none, because you are passing a missing value. This time also the test case will fail because we have not raised or we are not handling this null values. So if I run this test case, both of them will fail. 2 failed. It says assert 5 is equal to none. 2 plus 3 should have been 5, but we are getting none. And assert 0 is equal to none. 10 minus 10 should have been 0, but we are getting none. So to handle these null values or missing values, we will have to change or modify our function, and we have to accept missing values here. So I will write a new line. If A is none or B is none, then return none. So what we are saying here, if A or B, if the value of A or B is none, then return none. Don't return any error. And here also we will write the same condition. If A is none or B is none, then just return me none. Let's go and modify our test functions, and let me change its value to 5 and its value to 0 now. And I will write 2 more test cases for this none. I will write here define test underscore add underscore none, and then I will write assert add, and one of our value is going to be none, the other one is 5, and this should return me none. Assert add, and then this time we will make this 5 and the other as none, and this should return me none. Similarly, I will write for subtract define test underscore subtract underscore none, and here also I will call this assert subtract. First value is none, second is 6, and this should return me none. Then assert subtract 7, and the second value is none. This should output me none. Now let's test this. So here I will call this PyTest math operations. Now we have 4 test cases. So you see we got 4 passed because now the conditions are matching with our functions that we have modified here. So it is also accepting none now. And while running this PyTest, you can pass one parameter -v. This is for verbose, and if I run this again, so you will get results for individual test. You see that passed, passed, passed. That's all for this tutorial. In our next tutorial, we will see how we can write test cases for a data frame. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like my video, you can subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.